All right. So today we're diving into a question that I know a lot of you have been asking about.
Oh, yeah.
Devon Energy stock.
Okay.
Is it a buy right now? That's the big question. And, you sent over a Motley Fool article.
Yeah.
And we're going to unpack that together.
Sounds good.
So Devon Energy is an oil and gas company, and that sector, as you know, can be
volatile.
Volatile, yeah, exactly.
That's for sure.
But what I think is really interesting about this Motley Fool article is that they're not just giving a yes or no answer.
Oh.
They're really diving deep into Devon's performance and their strategy. So you as an investor can decide, does this align with what I'm looking for?
It's more about giving you the tools to make the decision yourself than just handing you a stock tip.
Exactly.
Right. So
do your own research, basically.
Yeah. So we'll be exploring things like, their recent acquisition, their dividend strategy.
Okay.
And this one might surprise you.
And what their focus on debt repayment and share buybacks could mean for your investment.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive analysis.
It is.
So to kick things off,
yeah,
what's the Motley Fool's overall take on Devon Energy?
Well, I think overall they are pretty positive about Devon as a company.
Okay.
But they definitely have some warnings and some things to keep in mind.
Right.
They're saying that Devon is performing really well, but whether or not it makes sense for you as an investor really depends on what your goals are.
So no one-size-fits-all answer here?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
You really have to think about it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's get into some specifics now.
Okay.
The article talks about Devon's operational performance, and it's a pretty rosy picture.
It is.
They beat production estimates. They raised guidance for 2025, and it seems like they're integrating their Grayson Mill acquisition pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, and they're doing a really good job of that.
So what's your take on all that?
Well, I mean, those are all really good signs. It means they're doing well.
Yeah.
And I think what's really interesting is not just that they integrated the acquisition, but that they're finding ways to make it even more efficient. Which is always a good sign.
Right.
Like, they're really leveraging that asset.
Okay, so they're not just buying it and hoping for the best.
No, they're making it work for them.
Yeah. Efficiency is key.
Totally.
Especially in an industry like this.
Yeah, you need everything you can get.
Now let's talk about valuation.
Okay.
The Motley Fool calculated that Devon's free cash flow could be 12.3% of its market cap.
That's a lot.
What does that mean for someone who's thinking about investing in Devon?
Well, that is a really good sign.
Okay.
12.3% free cash flow means they have a lot of cash left over after they've taken care of all their expenses and investments.
Okay.
Which gives them a lot of flexibility.
Okay.
They can do things like increase dividends or buy back shares, invest in growth opportunities. All things that are potentially good for you as a shareholder.
Right. They're not just sitting on this cash, they're actually using it.
Exactly.
They're putting it to work.
Let's move on to dividends, which I know a lot of investors are curious about.
Yeah.
The Motley Fool article mentions that Devon's variable dividend is gone.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
So this is where things get kind of interesting.
Okay.
Devon's management is kind of changing their thinking around dividends.
Okay.
They're moving away from that variable dividend, which fluctuates with oil and gas prices.
Okay.
And instead, they're focusing on a fixed dividend that they're going to grow steadily.
So it's more predictable.
Exactly, predictable, and hopefully it will grow over time.
Okay.
It's currently yielding about 2.6%.
2.6%.
Okay.
Something to think about.
Yeah, especially if you're someone who's looking for consistent income.
Exactly.
From your investments.
Right.
I'm curious, though, if they have this cash flow, why not just pay out a bigger dividend now?
That's a great question. And Motley Fool kind of gives us some insight into their thinking.
Okay.
It seems like they've decided to prioritize debt repayment and share buybacks.
Interesting.
Over a larger dividend payout.
Okay.
So they're taking about 30% of their free cash flow to strengthen their balance sheet.
Okay.
And the remaining 70% they're going to use for returns to shareholders.
Through buybacks and this fixed dividend.
Exactly.
Interesting. So even though they could be paying out a higher dividend now.
Right.
They're choosing to kind of reinvest in the company and potentially increase its value over the long term.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, they're playing the long game.
Can you explain how share buybacks work and why a company would choose to do that?
Sure. So when a company buys back its own shares, it's essentially reducing the number of shares available in the market.
Okay.
Which can increase the value of each remaining share.
Oh, okay.
Which could be good for you as a shareholder.
So it's kind of a balancing act.
They're making moves that could lead to higher cash flow per share and potentially a higher stock price down the line.
Right.
But it's not necessarily the best option for someone who wants that immediate income.
Exactly. It really depends on what you're looking for as an investor.
Okay.
Are you after that short-term income?
Yeah.
Or are you willing to wait?
Right. Are you playing the long game?
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're really focused on building a solid foundation.
Yeah, they're thinking long-term.
Yeah. But I think it's also important to remember that, this Motley Fool article is just one piece of the puzzle.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
You never want to base an investment decision on just one article.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, speaking of the bigger picture, we can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Oh, right.
Devon Energy is in the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
And,
that comes with its own set of issues.
Yeah, there are some environmental concerns there.
Definitely something to consider.
For sure. For sure. And investors who are, maybe more focused on sustainability.
Right.
They might want to do some digging into, what's called ESG.
Remember environmental social governance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before they jump in.
It's always good to do your research.
Yeah. So how do you think about those ESG factors when you're evaluating a potential investment?
Well, for me, it's about looking beyond the numbers.
Okay.
And thinking about the company's impact on the world.
Right.
Like, are they taking steps to reduce their carbon footprint?
Mm-hmm.
Are they investing in renewable energy sources?
Okay.
How are they treating the communities where they operate?
So it's about aligning your investments with your values.
Exactly.
You want to make sure you're putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
It's got to feel good.
Now, shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
We also need to consider the fact that Devon's success is tied to the energy market.
The big, bad energy market.
Which can be incredibly volatile.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the price of oil and gas can swing wildly.
Oh, yeah.
Due to factors that are completely outside of any company's control.
Right. We're talking global supply and demand, geopolitical events.
Oh, yeah.
Government regulations.
It's a lot.
All these things can impact a company like Devon.
No matter how well managed they are.
It does matter.
So even if you believe in their strategy,
right,
even if you think they're financially sound,
you still have to be comfortable with the risk.
Exactly.
You're in the game.
Right. And speaking of risk, it's worth thinking about Devon's position within the broader energy landscape. I mean, the world's transitioning
slowly but surely
towards cleaner energy sources.
Right.
So while oil and gas are probably going to be around for a while,
yeah,
their long-term prospects are maybe a little more uncertain.
It's true.
Than they used to be.
It's a changing world.
So how do you, as an investor, navigate that uncertainty?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, do you just avoid oil and gas altogether? Yeah.
Or are there ways to strategically invest in companies like Devon?
Right.
While also acknowledging this energy transition?
Right.
It's a balancing act.
It is.
For sure.
It's a tough question. And I think it highlights why a deep dive like this is so valuable.
Yeah.
We're not just looking at a stock ticker and a price target. We're really trying to take a holistic view.
You got to see the whole picture.
We're factoring in their financials, their strategic decisions, their position in the energy market, even the ethical considerations of investing in a fossil fuel company.
It's complex.
It's about giving you the information so you can make an informed decision.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Exactly.
It's all about being informed.
Right. This Motley Fool article is a great starting point.
It is.
But it's just the beginning of the research process.
Yeah, you got to do your own digging.
You got to go deeper.
Exactly.
Maybe read some more articles, explore Devon's website, check out their financial filings.
Maybe even listen to some earnings calls.
Get a feel for what management is saying.
Exactly.
Their vision for the future.
It's about taking ownership of your investment decisions.
You're in the driver's seat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're the one who's ultimately going to be making the call.
Right.
So you got to do your due diligence.
Absolutely.
And decide for yourself if this company's the right fit.
Makes sense.
Now, before we wrap up this part,
okay,
I want to kind of shift gears one last time. And talk about something that we often overlook.
Okay, what's that?
The human element.
The human element.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, the charts, the stock prices.
Oh, for sure.
But at the end of the day, companies are made up of people.
That's true.
Right?
They're not just robots.
Those people have stories.
They do.
Right? We're talking about the executives who are making these decisions.
Yeah.
the employees who are working in the field, the communities that are impacted by the company's operations.
Absolutely.
Their stories matter.
They do. They're part of the equation.
And sometimes I think understanding that human side of things can give you insights that you won't find in a balance sheet or an earnings report.
For sure.
So how do you recommend someone kind of incorporates that human element?
Well, I think a good place to start is by just reading articles or watching videos about the company's culture, their commitment to their employees, their efforts to engage with the communities where they operate, get a feel for the people behind the company.
And I imagine social media could be a useful tool to kind of see what employees and community members are saying.
Definitely, you can get a lot of valuable information from those firsthand perspectives.
So it's about going beyond the numbers.
It's about the bigger picture.
Right, and really trying to understand the company's values, their impact on the world, and the people who make it all happen.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it's like you're not just looking at their financials, but you're trying to understand
the whole story.
Yeah, the whole story, the bigger picture.
And sometimes those stories can actually tell you a lot about a company's long-term potential.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like a company that really values its employees, invests in its communities, operates with integrity.
Yeah.
Those are all qualities that can contribute to success down the line.
Right. So it's about looking beyond just the short term.
Exactly. You got to see the forest for the trees.
The forest for the trees. Like that.
So as you continue your research on Devon Energy, just remember to look at the whole picture.
Okay.
Their financials, their strategy, their place in the energy market, their ESG practices, and yes, even that human element.
It's all connected.
It's all part of this story.
All right, so before we wrap up this deep dive, let's just do a quick recap.
Okay, sounds good.
Of the key takeaways here.
All right.
So we started by exploring that Motley Fool article, which gave a pretty optimistic view of Devon Energy's financial health.
Yeah, they're in a good spot.
And their strategic direction.
It seems like they have a solid plan.
Yeah, they're performing well operationally. They've got that strong free cash flow.
A lot of cash.
And it seems like they're making decisions that point to long-term value creation.
Yeah, they're thinking ahead.
They're playing the long game.
Exactly.
And we also, dug a little deeper into some of the nuances of their strategy.
Right.
Like their shift from that variable dividend to a fixed dividend.
That was interesting.
And their focus on, paying down debt and buying back shares.
Yeah, they're really prioritizing those things.
And we talked about how those decisions might appeal to different investors.
Right. Some investors might want that immediate income.
Right.
Others are willing to wait.
For potential growth down the line.
Exactly.
Now, we also, we can't forget, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Investing in any company, especially in oil and gas, it comes with risks.
Absolutely.
You got to think about those ESG factors. You got to understand the energy market.
It's a wild ride.
It's a wild ride. And you have to know your own risk tolerance.
You got to be comfortable with the ups and downs.
Exactly. And finally, we talked about that human element.
Right.
Going beyond the numbers and trying to understand the people behind the company.
Yeah, their stories matter.
Their values, their culture.
Absolutely.
Their impact on the world.
That's all part of the equation.
So we've given you a lot to think about.
We have.
But ultimately, the decision of whether or not to invest in Devon Energy is up to you.
It's your money.
You got to do your own research.
Absolutely.
You got to weigh the pros and cons and decide if this aligns with your investment philosophy.
And what you believe in.
And what you believe in.
Yeah, your vision for the future.
Exactly. So that's going to do it for this deep dive on Devon Energy.
Hope you enjoyed it.
But remember, investing is a journey.
It is.
It's not a destination.
You got to keep learning.
So stay curious, stay engaged.
Keep asking questions.
And we'll be back next week.
We will.
With another deep dive exploring a new topic.
Can't wait.
And helping you navigate this crazy world of knowledge and information.
It's out there.
Until then, happy investing.
And happy learning.